Welcome everybody to Geekvice episode 216, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name's Morph, that man's Kip. Good evening, Kip.
Good evening.
How are you doing? I feel like it's been like 2 weeks since we've talked.
It's close.
It's
It's
been
very
almost
close.
2 weeks, hasn't it? But of course, all of you listening on the podcast that just listen once a week, you will have never missed a beat because we recorded an episode early so that it would come out last week while I was out of town in Pennsylvania for work. And that left Kip to kind of do whatever he wanted for over a week. What have you been doing, man?
Absolutely nothing. I can't think of any better of a way to spend my time.
So if you're not recording, you're just sitting on your duff, not doing anything.
Well, I play video games. I read, you know, the boring stuff.
Yeah, what video game are you into now?
I vacillate between Bloodborne, World War II on Call of Duty, and um, the Star Wars Battlefront 2.
You just blew my mind, the fact that you used the word vacillate. I mean, you're using words that I'm not sure I've ever actually heard before.
Well, I did say I read, so
Yeah.
maybe that's where I get it.
Yeah, you vacillate. Wow, that sounds dirty. Um, so, yeah,
Sorry.
so, so Bloodborne is like, I'm trying to think what that one is.
It's like Dark Souls.
Okay, yeah. I know which one you're talking
Yeah.
about now.
Yeah, I finally got through this one major part. It's people who play the game and are good at it will make fun of me for this, but it's basically getting through the first go through of Central Yarnum. Um, you start in this one spot. To your left is a gate that's locked from the other side. To the right, you go through this whole area, and it takes a long time to finally get back to that gate and open that gate from the other side. I'm embarrassed about how long it took me to get to that gate, but I finally did. So now I'm using that as a way to just kind of explore Central Yarnum and find things and kill things. And my goal now next time I play is there's a giant pig not far from there that as soon as he sees me, he charges. Once he charges me, I'm done. So I got to figure out a way to get behind the thing and see if I can't kill it. So that's my next thing. So anybody who's played it's probably like, that one's easy, but so far it hasn't been for me. But
Yeah. Slow kids playing video games is hard. Come on, guys.
it is hard. I don't get to play as often as I'd like, and sometimes I got a half an hour or so. I just will play Call of Duty because it's 10-minute games. I can get 3 of them in, and
Right.
instead of playing Bloodborne, the next thing you know, a month has gone by. I haven't played Bloodborne. Maybe I should do that. So
Yeah, I know
that's
what
where
you
I'm
mean.
at. So I'm going to play this weekend, see if I can't do some damage. I got to Father Gascoigne and once. He's the second big bad that I faced, and I got him down pretty far, and then he kind of wolfed out on me and tore me to shreds. So I gotta figure him out.
Nice.
I did
So,
watch a video where there's this part where you come to this window and there's this little girl hiding, and her mom disappeared, and she wants you to go find her mom, and she gives you a music box. Come to find out by watching this video that I watched, you can use that music box to basically play some music and temporarily stun this Father Gascoigne. So I'm going to give that a try next time I go in. But
there you
first,
go. First
Got to
you have to
make
get
bacon
past the
out of the
pig.
giant pig. Yeah.
Gotta get past the bacon.
Yes.
Go make
Got
me
to make the
some
bacon.
bacon. Yeah, well, and I understand what you mean by like all of a sudden it's been a month and you haven't played. For those of you that follow Geekvice Gaming, I put a State of the Union video up there last Thursday because with everything that had gone on the last couple weeks and then me being gone last week for work, I have not gotten any new episodes recorded. So I don't have any new episodes to go up.
You
So
finally made it through your backlog?
yeah, I made it through my backlog, and I started getting mighty thin with my mother-in-law staying in at the house and not being able to record, and I just ended up catching up, and I just wasn't able to get more recorded to put in the bank. So,
Oh,
and
that happens.
this last weekend was my wife's birthday, so I was busy then, not able to get any gaming time in. So I'm going to try to get some gaming time in this week, get a couple episodes recorded, get them edited and processed, and then uploaded to YouTube. So hopefully next week we'll have some stuff to go up. I promise I'm going to get back to it. And then, of course, while a couple weeks ago, I found out that you can get StarCraft 2 and Diablo 3 for free
I
from
love
Blizzard.
Diablo 3.
So I have installed both of those on the computer, and I kind of touched a little bit of StarCraft 2. Gonna get through a little bit of that, and then found out StarCraft. The cool thing that I found out, and the reason why I installed StarCraft 2 was there's a co-op kind of campaign type thing. So
Okay.
multiplayer co-op, and one of the guys from my work and I had been talking about needing to find a co-op game to play because we both play computer games. We both are big fans of XCOM 2. And so when we found out that StarCraft 2 has a co-op multiplayer kind of campaign scenario type thing, we're like, ooh, we might need to play that. So I'm trying to learn how to play StarCraft 2 because it's been a long time since I played the first StarCraft. Um, Trying to relearn that so that we can do that, and that might actually, if I can get it to work well, then that might actually get recorded and put up on YouTube as well. So we might get a little
Very, very cool.
multiplayer watch me get my ass kicked because I'm really slow, and that is a game that you cannot think slowly.
Well, these are reasons why you never see a video game I play recorded and posted anywhere on the internet. Because, take what the average time of a gamer is to figure something out and multiply that by about 50, and that's how long it takes me to figure it out. So
I know the feeling because I feel like I am not fast by any means. My thought process is really slow and methodical, and I'm going to say that's a good thing. But it really never works out in my favor, so I'm going to maybe it's not. I don't know.
yeah. Well, what's funny is I watch playthrough videos to get some hints and stuff like that, and they'll be like, and you may have noticed this and this and this. Like, nope. And I was right there, didn't see it. They're like, oh yeah, you noticed in Bloodborne everywhere there's somebody you can talk to, there's this lantern. No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Yep. That happens all the time. And I've got, like, oh, they're all over there in the bookshelf. But I have the strategy guide for, like, Final Fantasy X. I've got the strategy guide for Fable 3. And, the Fable 3 one's kind of cool because it's a nice hardbound book, slip covered.
Yeah.
Looks really cool. Really good pictures inside. The art is amazing. It tells you some things in there that's like, oh yeah, look for these things. I'm like, dude, if you didn't tell me to look for those, there is no way in hell I would have ever seen that. Like, it's just like, oh, this passing bug that's flying over here, you're supposed to pay attention to. It's like, what? No
Exactly.
way. Like, come on. Like, I
Yep.
need obvious things, like hitting me in the head. I don't take subtle hints.
No, that it needs to. There needs to be like the game pauses and a big sign with an arrow comes up. Says, "Look here."
I'm used to, yeah, like see, you and I grew up in the time of like the old arcade games where you played through an area. Once you beat all the guys, this big arrow pops up on the screen and says, "Go this way." Like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, that's the way I need to go,
I guess I'll go that way, huh?
right? Yeah, it's just like, oh, whatever. I throw my hands up. I'm like, I'll
Oh,
figure this shit out eventually. But yeah, so we got all that going on. I guess we should mention that Constellation Con thing was last weekend.
yes.
So, and that went really well. Ben and Billy and Anthony got to meet a whole bunch of people. If you were up there, you might have got to meet them from Underground Inc., some fellow podcast Arcadians. Um, so, yeah, they
The
said
cool
that went really
guys.
well.
Yeah, everything I saw post wise on Facebook and everything looked like they had a good time. And now I wish I lived closer to that area so I could attend.
Yeah. Well, and they met up with a lot of people, the other podcasters that are up in that area, and I definitely, um, it definitely would have been cool to be able to meet some of those guys as well. So
Absolutely.
maybe we'll have to do that sometime in the future. What was it? There was something else I was gonna throw out there. Oh, our buddy Carl with Mega Make Eternia Great Again, and I think that's the only thing he does. He used to do Goad Kicker, but he's kind of retired Goad Kicker, and I think now he just does Mega when he can. But he is also a member of the podcast Arcade. He has a new RPG that he's putting together, and it sounds kind of cool with what he's doing. But you can check out his stuff. We put a link to it, or I put a little plug for it on our Facebook page at Geekvice, facebook.com/Geekvice. And then, but you can also get to it from his Facebook page, and it is facebook.com/draw your own adventure. So I think you can just do at draw your own, but if you add the adventure into it, it'll find it a little bit easier. So, but that is also in the comments down there. So Celeste, I think it was Celeste, it asked like where to find it. That's where you could find it. I replied to her comment in there. So if you go look at that thread, you'll be able to find that information that you need. So it sounds really cool. A different kind of concept. The no hit points. Um, Instead, you don't die. You basically just get embarrassed and go home.
Yeah, you lose confidence.
Yeah. So, which I think is kind of a cool idea. Also, it kind of it moves away from this idea of hoarding money and looting and pillaging, and kind of more into the generosity type ideas. So I think that's really kind of a cool idea. And the other thing that I thought was really neat is he has a single player mode for this RPG,
Yeah.
which I think is really interesting. I kind of want to see what that looks like. This also seems like he said he's trying to make this to be more kid friendly and more kind of fit into his world views type thing. So I kind of want to see what it's like and give it a try. So I hope can't wait to get a copy of it when it becomes available. So
Yeah, definitely. People should go check it out. He's the creative branch of the podcast arcade.
oh, absolutely. With all the stuff he does um, Bigfoot Adventures and
Bigfoot Jones,
Bigfoot
quarterback.
Jones. That's right, Bigfoot Jones. Yeah, so he does some really good stuff. You should check him out, and he will definitely be at O Comic Con selling his wares, or at least I hope he is. He was last year.
Yeah, just look for the guy wearing the Cubs jersey. That's probably will be him.
Yeah, yeah. Have you seen his pictures of his little like Oyo sports
Oh yeah.
figures? Yeah, that's kind of cool. He did a good job with that.
So
All
check him
right.
out. Go to Facebook / draw your own adventure. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very creative stuff.
Very cool, very cool. All right, so let's get to the meat of this thing. We're going
Let's
old
do it.
school. We're going old school Geekvice this week. Since I
Which
was
means what,
traveling,
3 years ago?
yeah, that's right. Classic, man. Classic Geekvice. We're going to go back to comics and board games because that's what, hell, I've been traveling, so I've been reading a lot of comics. I got a new tablet. What is this? This is a Samsung Galaxy Tab E or something like that. It's gigantic. It's like a 10-inch screen. It is huge. It is just, I mean, there's my hand.
This is not a paid endorsement, by the way.
No, no. This makes my hands look small next to it, and I have big hands. You know what they say about guys with big hands?
They need big gloves.
That's right. That's right. But so I've got back to reading comics, or I wanted to. Keep telling myself I want to get back into comics, but with all the stuff that's going on in trying to keep up with ongoing series, it's just like I just threw my hands up and said, I'm done. I'm done trying to keep up with ongoing stuff. I'm not reading anything ongoing, at least not right now. Eventually, it's going to get to the point where I can get the trades or I can just pick up little things here and there. But what I did is I went back and found some older stuff that I can get all of from start to finish, and I can able to read through it. One of the things that I read was a story, a book called I Kill Giants by Joe Kelly and J.M. Kim Nimura. I think
easy for you to say.
Yeah, I think that's how you say his name. But this book it's an older book. It was published back in 2008. It runs, what is it? I think it's like 8 issues, 8 or 9, 7 issues. So it's 7 issues, but you can get it in trade. It was put out by Image Comics. And this story, I have to keep it very vague because I didn't know anything about this story. I knew literally nothing other than it was a story about somebody who saw giants and needed to kill giants. If you didn't pick that up by the name, I don't know what's wrong with you.
I can't believe somebody would kill giants in a book called I Kill Giants.
Right. But this book, when I got done reading it, it was way deeper than what I thought it was going to be. It dove into so much more, and I could see reading this in individual issues going like all of a sudden by issue 6 or 7 you're just like going, what the hell am I reading? Because it completely changes on what it is. But so the general synopsis is, this is straight from Joe Kelly. It's a story about a girl who's a bit of an outsider. She's funny, but totally in our geek land. She's obsessed with Dungeons & Dragons. She doesn't have a lot of friends. She's a bit of a social misfit. She's taken her fantasy life a little far and really only talks about giants to people. She's convinced that giants are real and giants are coming, and it's her responsibility to stop them when they show up. This weird little fantasy life that she's going has started seeping into her real life. And as we see things from her point of view, we see that she sees pixies and she sees signs in the clouds and other things that might be telling her that bad things might be coming. That's Joe Kelly's synopsis. That is really all I can tell you about this story without ruining anything. Let's put it this way. When you read this book, go in with an open mind. Go in with just reading it. And first of all, J.M. Kim Nimura's, I'm just going to call him Ken because it's easier. Uh, Ken's art is incredible. It's black and white for one, so keep that in mind. But each of the characters are clearly defined. You can pick them out. He does an incredible job of um, pinpointing the characters, like making something special about them. The main character has rabbit ears, and it's just because she wears like a little, headband that has rabbit ears. But she always has that on, so you can always tell who she is. There is a character that is kind of like a bully, and you can pick her out no matter where it's at on the page because she's this big, gigantic, girl that's just looks mean and burly and like a giant, like a mean jerk. So it's it's really he does a really good job of clearly defining everything. I'll leave it with that you need to go read this book. You can find it. Kip over here just found it at the library, so you can get on the waiting list to check it out at the library. I am positive you could get it at your local comic shop. If you don't want to go through there, I know you can buy it on Amazon too. So Image, I think Image is actually part of Comixology, so I haven't looked on there, but you could probably get it on Comixology as well.
Be surprised if you couldn't.
Yeah, it's been collected, so you don't have to worry about trying to find each individual issue. You can you can pick up either the trade paperback or they've even got a hardcover for it. This book has won several awards. It's won Best Indie Book of 2008 by IGN. It also made it on the list of 10 best comics of 2009 by New York Magazine. Let's see, what else has it done? It's also 2010 Top 10 Great Graphic Novels for Teens by the Young Adult Library Services Association. And it won the Gold Award at the 5th International Manga Award. So, and it won a second best foreign comic book published in Japan. So, this thing has won awards in Japan, even though it wasn't published in Japan. It's just really good. You should check it out. And I'll throw a little bit in there. It's also really fun because in the back of it, in the back of the collected one, it has these little behind the scenes comics of how this was created, and it's Joe Kelly and Ken Nomura basically doing their back and forth, and it is hilarious because Ken draws himself as basically this little kid, and then he ends up showing up in a rabbit suit, and they even bring it up. It's like, why are you wearing a rabbit suit? He's like, well, I just dressed like that before so that I look like you, but now that we've worked together long enough, you could see me in my true form. And he's wearing this rabbit suit. It's just like, what? And it's great because it's going back and forth with I'm looking to create this girl that's has these personalities, and these are some key traits. And then he looks at Ken's artwork and he's like, yeah, this is terrible. You should never draw ever again. Crinkle, 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 throw. It's like it's fun back and forth banter between the two of them. So that's, if nothing else, you can go check that out for the little snippet stuff at the back. And then on top of that, and I didn't know this until Kip and I were talking about this pre-show, there's actually a film adaptation that came out in March of 2015 by Treehouse Pictures. So it's got Zoe Saldana and Madison Wolfe. So I'll have to go check that out and see if it's been released or see if I can't find it somewhere.
Yeah, It's one of those things that as soon as you hear the title, like, I've got to read this. I don't care what it's about. It's called I Kill Giants. I've got to read this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then it being Joe Kelly, he just makes you want to read it even more. So, I hope I get it from the library soon.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll be excited to hear what you think about it when you read it, and we can talk. You and I can talk more off the air of what goes on in it once you've read it, because I don't want to spoil this for anyone out there. That's the big thing. I just want to tell you to go read this book, because to me it kind of hit a chord with me reading through the whole thing, knowing nothing about it. Reading it, it was very deep and inspirational, kind of. Um, so I kind of want everyone else to have that same feeling when they read this book. So
Yeah. And just because you wondered, Comixology, you can get the trade for $10
oh, there you go.
or the individual issues for $1.99 each.
There you go. That works well. So you pay a little bit extra for the trade, but not all bad. Actually,
Not
no, you
all
don't.
bad. Yeah, it was. It's normally 16. It's $9.99 right now.
Yeah.
So
Grab it now. Grab it now
yeah,
for
run, don't
$10.
walk to
Yeah.
your wallet and get this purchased.
Yeah, get it. Get it now. Buy it now. Yeah, buy it now. So yeah, we got that. Um, and then the other book that I started reading, so that was only 7 issues. I was able to blow through that. I think I had finished that on my first flight to Philadelphia. Actually, I think it might have been to Tennessee is when I finished it, because that was where my layover was. Kansas City to Tennessee to Pittsburgh, not Philadelphia, Pittsburgh.
Oh, Pittsburgh.
So yeah, talk about like out of the way. And then on the way back, we went from Pittsburgh to Chicago to Kansas City. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Um, but the other series that I read, and I know I've talked about this on this show. I know I've talked about it on Geekvice, because this book was published also, believe it or not, it started in 2008 and it finished in 2013. It is called Lock and Key by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. It was published by IDW Publishing. Joe Hill, for those of you that don't know, Joe Hill is the son of Stephen King. This book, very Stephen King-ish. I will also warn you now, if you read this book, if you read Lock and Key, any of the issues, do not read them with your kids present, especially when you're reading it on this gigantic tablet, and people can see over your shoulder. I had a guy on the plane as I was flying back who, it was an older guy. He kind of came up next to me as we were getting ready to leave, and he's in the aisle and he's standing next to me, and he's like, "Do you read a lot of graphic novels?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I kind of like comic books." He's like, "Yeah, I read some," like he spent some time over in Europe and read some European comics, and realized like he couldn't read the words, but the pictures were graphic enough that he could tell what was happening. He's like, "The one you got's about as graphic," and I'm like, "Oh damn, he's reading over my shoulder on this gigantic screen." And yes, some of the scenes rather graphic. Lots of blood, lots of killing, lots of death, and lots of, just creepy stuff going on. So, keep that in mind. Do not let your kids read over your shoulder.
This has been a public service announcement by Geekvice.
That's right. But so what I've gone through is there's basically 6 story arcs in Lock and Key. The first one being Welcome to Lovecraft, the second one being Head Games. Those are the 2 that I've gotten through right now. I'm in the process of reading through Crown of Shadows. The story, the way this story is kind of set up is it's told out of chronological order. You kind of start in present day about this family called the Locks, and the dad of this family Mr. Locke, I don't even remember his name, Rendell Locke, is murdered by, he's a counselor at a high school, is murdered by a high school student, somebody he counseled, in front of his kids, and while his wife was being, cut up and tortured.
So
And
not a comedy.
nope, no, not nope, not really. Not funny at all in any. Actually, there are some funny moments, but it's more the ironic funny, not the ha ha funny. Um,
Ah,
but the you find out that these two kids, are trying to find a key. They need a key that Rendell is supposed to know about, but no adults seem to know where this key is. So, Rendell ends up getting killed. His son, Tyler, ends up beating the crap out of the guy the kid who killed his dad. And that guy gets arrested. The mom, lives. They end up moving from San Francisco to Lovecraft, Massachusetts, and they stay at a house that is a Locke family house called the Key House. That is what happens. And from there, the kids end up finding out that there are these keys in the Key House that open certain doors or do magic things. Open magic doors in quotes. Not all of them are doors. One of the first keys that you find is the ghost key, that if you use this key to unlock a door, when you go through the door, you basically die and turn into a ghost. And then you can move around as you want, and when you want to come back alive, you just go back through the door, and you go right back into your body and wake back up.
so you better hope while you're in there somebody doesn't find your body and bury your ass or cremate you.
Mm-hmm. Which might actually happen in the book.
Ah.
They find another key that is really kind of cool. It's called the head key, and the head key you can put into the back of your head and open up your head. So you turn this key in the top part of your head, like from your forehead straight around. It's like getting a craniotomy. I don't know, where they cut off your head and your brain's just there. Except when you do this, it's empty. Your head is empty. And then when you look inside it, you can actually go third person and stand behind you and look down in your own head. And what you see are the memories and the ideas, your fears, your passions, your loves, your hates. That's what you see. And you see them as images in your head, like as physical entities. So if you wanted to learn something, like say you wanted to read an entire book, you just pick the book up off the shelf, shove it into your head, and now you know everything that was in that book, just instantly.
I need that.
And it works the opposite way as well. Let's say you're tired of being scared. You can actually reach into your head, grab out fear, and get rid of it. Now you'll never be afraid. So
Okay.
you can imagine the things that come out of that, and the way he uses this, they use this kind of thing to keep the story going along after these three kids have basically watched their dad, be murdered in front of them. It is a very dark and suspenseful story. It is really good. I recommend it highly. I have already read it once, and I'm going back and rereading it again because not only do you get the same, I know the story, I know what's going to happen, but now I can spend even more time looking at the art. And Gabriel Rodriguez's art is incredible. It is detailed beyond belief. It is so detailed that every time you look at a panel, you can find new little things, and I've been trying to go through to see if I can't pick up little extra stuff, and I've kind of found things where it's like, oh, hey, I remember that because I've already read through all the way to the end. I already have read this series once. Now I'm picking up things that, oh, if I would have caught that the first time, that's foreshadowing in the background of, hey, they're gonna go here, which is really kind of cool. It's that detailed and that laid out that it's fun going through and picking up little things, just little silhouettes over off to the side of somebody maybe peeking in and keeping an eye on something. Um, some of the dialogue that happens in there foreshadows beautifully to things that happen in the future that when the first time I read through it I didn't think anything of it. But now that I'm reading it again for the second time, I'm catching things, little things like the shadows seem to be alive. It's like, ooh, that actually, there's a key that brings shadows to life. It's like really kind of cool stuff. So I recommend it if you haven't read it. Read all the way through it. There's a lot of issues for that. You can get each of the story arcs in trade. So you're looking at Welcome to Lovecraft, Head Games, Crown of Shadows, Keys to the Kingdom, Clockworks, Alpha and Omega, and then the Golden Age, which I think has the Golden Age is one that has some extra one shots that tell you a little bit more about some certain keys and things like that. So really good story. Highly recommend.
Sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I know I've read one of them. I read one of the trades.
You have
I think
read.
you loaned it.
Yeah, you've at least read Welcome to Lovecraft because I have that one in hardcover trade.
Yeah, that's the one where they first got to
Yep.
that manor or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's yeah, that was the one I know that I loaned you, and I actually have all of them in their individual issues. But then I also went and got them all on my tablet so that I could take them with me on the plane and not have to carry a stack of comic books around. So that is one advantage to having a ton of comic books on the having digital comic books. So
Excellent day.
So that's what I've got. But you've been playing board games, and the board game you've been playing sounds really freaking awesome.
Well, we do a play every Friday at Tabletop. I say that, and then we're not playing this Friday, but we're playing Saturday for International Tabletop Day.
Woo woo!
Yeah, exactly. So, this last Friday, it's not on any of our lists as far as the challenge goes. In fact, I don't own this game, but we still played. Excuse me. And we played the original version, which is the name they had to change because of some copyright problems. And
I wondered if that was the case.
yeah, so we played, our copy was Rampage. It is now called Terror in Meeple City if you try to find it anywhere now as a new copy.
Yeah.
And it is a dexterity game. Family game as well, a party game as well. It's up to 4 people who can play. And basically, you play as the monster who gets to stomp on the city and eat the people. So, that right there sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
The game takes less than an hour. Really, it took us less than an hour to play.
Oh, yeah.
But setup and teardown could be quite lengthy.
I can see that.
So what you have is you have a board. It's a city. And you actually have buildings you have to construct in the setup. And the component quality is top notch. The cardboard pieces is a real thick cardboard. The meeples are wooden.
Yeah.
You know, the monster you control is nice tall wooden figure. So they have all these different squares and stuff on the city, so you know what size of pieces of cardboard to use to build the buildings, and the structure of the building is the meeples. So you'll have like a square, you'll put 4 meeples on there, and then you'll put a piece of cardboard on that, and you put 4 more meeples, you put another piece of cardboard on that. Some buildings are 3 stories, some of them are 4 story. And the whole premise of this game really is to do the most destruction that allows you to eat the most meeples. Destroy. And what it is you have a little disc, a little wooden disc that has like the picture of your feet on it, of your monster's feet, and you flick it. You got to be careful if you flick it off the board. You have a shield, not really a shield. I can't think of what's called. Screen, there it is. I knew it started with an S. of your monster's face, and it has a place for 4 teeth. You get these nice cardboard cutout of teeth that you put there. Once you lose all your teeth, your monster is pretty much done. You've lost the game. So you got to be careful flicking this disc, because if you flick it off the board, you lose a tooth. If you fling too many meeples off the board, you can lose teeth and other things as well. There's a board you actually put the discarded meeples on, and each row has a number of meeples that it takes to fill up the row. Like the first row is only 2 meeples, and whoever causes that second meeple to go there loses a tooth. The next row has 4, and the person who puts the 4th one down loses a tooth. And
it can go really quick too.
It could go really quick, and it did when we played. I won, which is unusual, but I did win. And I think I won mostly because I stayed at one building. So you flick this thing around to move around the board, this disc. And basically you flick it, and then you put your monster on top of it. If you happen to flick it and it ends up touching the sidewalk around a building, then you can you're not supposed to leave your seat. So you're supposed to be able to do this from your chair, is hold your monster over the building and let it go, and just destroys the building somewhat.
It's almost like when I was watching the Watch It Played guys, it's like he almost just held his arm out straight. It was like from sitting in your chair, just put your arm above it. You could kind of go a little bit up and down, but it was almost like a straight line is what they were using.
Yeah, you don't want to drop it from too high of a distance, because like I said, you'll fling things off the board.
Yeah.
And then lose teeth. So you do want to keep it, fairly close to the board, but high enough that it's going to knock some things down. And each area on the board is a zone. And if there's meeples that are not covered by a building out there on their own in the same zone as your monster gobbles them up. You have secret objective cards. There's different colored meeples, and each color stands for something. Like I think the black ones are businessmen, and
the gray ones are like seniors.
Yeah.
Green are army. Blue is journalist. Yellow is blondes, which I thought that was
and hilarious. They also have skirts instead of legs, which is not racist at all, or not sexist at all.
No, not at all.
But like my secret objective was, I was supposed to try to finish the game with the most blue and green ones, meeples eaten, and then I earned more victory points based on that secret objective. But it didn't get to that point because the 2 guys I was playing with lost all their teeth. I still had 3 on my monster, so we just declared me the winner, and we moved on. But And how I won was I flicked the disc towards this one building, dropped my monster on it. It kind of half collapsed.
Yeah.
So instead of scattering things all over, it just like kicked out two of the meeples and just kind of was like a lean-to.
Mm-hmm.
And it held so well that dropping my monster on it really didn't do a heck of a lot of damage to it.
Oh.
So I just stayed there for most of the game trying to knock this building completely down while the other two guys were flicking the discs around and knocking meeples everywhere. And then finally they lost all their teeth. And me just spending the time at one building not getting anywhere caused me to win the game. It was kind of funny. But it's a fun game. You can do things. There's more than just dropping the monster. There's wooden vehicles in each zone, and you can throw the vehicle.
Yeah.
Which means you put your monster on the disc, you put the vehicle on top of your monster, and you flick it off the monster's head.
Yeah, and I think I think there's that one's great. The other one is like using the dragon breath.
Yes.
Where you can put your chin basically at the top of the monster, and then you can blow on the board to try to knock stuff over or to move certain things. I just thought that was great. Like,
yeah.
That's a great
idea. To me, that's a power that I could see being used a lot if you're playing with kids.
Yeah.
We didn't use it once.
Well, watching the Play It Now guys do it, it didn't work out so well when they did it. It's like, it's a lot harder than you think, so it's almost better to just drop stuff and be done.
That's kind of the way we looked at it. Plus, if you have too big of a table, it's hard to reach everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that being a problem.
You want to have a table that's just slightly bigger than the board, and then I don't know what you do with your screen and all that. So it's got to be like this weird combination of just big enough for the board plus a little bit extra area to keep your stuff.
Yeah.
It's because you just need to be able to reach all corners of the board with the rule of you have to stay seated to drop your monster thing. So, we play at tabletop. They have pretty good sized tables. And I was at the end of the table lengthwise. So we had to pull the board as close to me as we possibly could. Otherwise, I could only reach like the first 25% of the board.
Yeah.
Without standing up. So you really got to have a good setup for everybody. It is a fun game. It's also a game I could see we not getting to the table all that often.
Well,
mainly because this group isn't into the party game type of thing.
Right. Well, and just the time to set up and take down type of thing can be a little cumbersome, a little bit of pain. Setting each one of those, tower buildings up with the meeples and the boards for the floors I could see that kind of being a pain in the ass and maybe deterring.
And if you're playing with kids, I could see losing meeples.
Yeah.
I could see that being a thing.
Yeah.
But fun game. Laughed a lot playing it. Made fun of each other quite a bit for, the first guy who went, none of us had done any of the flicking stuff. And so he pretty much wound up and really gave this thing a fly. And, of course, it went flying off the table. Things went everywhere. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And normally the disc is on the board itself that you flick. My monster and Jason's monster had the special ability because of a random power card that we drew.
Oh, yeah.
Allowed us to put the disc on top of the monster's head and flick it from there.
Oh, wow.
Which is nice because each building, the base of it actually sticks up like a 1/16 of an inch from the board.
Just so enough to stop you from sliding. Yeah.
Yeah, it stops the disc from just going through there and wiping out the foundation of that building. So being able to put it on top of the head of the monster allows you to kind of come in from the top like a dive bomb. So
that was
pretty handy to have.
Yeah,
And
we
then
didn't.
again, you got to be careful with how hard you flick it because you're taller than most buildings.
You don't want to
You
go
flick it just right, you could just skip off the top of the building and right off the board.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we didn't really talk about the power up cards that are there. Like you've got special abilities, you have a secret ability, and then you
yep,
also you're trying to score points by eating the most meeples, and so like having your sets. If you get like a complete set, but then you have a what do we call it? Like a goal card. So you're
yeah, secret
this
objective card.
yeah, an achievement that you're trying to reach, and that's kind of a cool because it adds a replayability to it that like we just said, it might be hard to get it to the table, but every time you get it to the table, that you do get it to the table, it's going to be a completely different game, depending on those different powers that you have and those abilities and things like that. So
Yeah, and after a while, I think you could get creative with the setup if you wanted to.
yeah,
If you didn't want to do the larger buildings are 3-story, the skinny buildings are 4-story, and maybe you make one building only 2 stories and the other one really tall.
yeah,
You know, after a while, I imagine you'd want to do stuff like that. But
yeah. So who owned this one that you guys played? Did somebody else brought it in?
yeah, somebody else. Do you know Fitz?
Yeah.
Yeah, he brought it in.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
as soon as I saw the box, I was like, hell yeah, I want to play that.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of fitting considering the Rampage movie comes out here soon. If it's not already
It's
out.
already, it's already out. I already saw it.
Did you? What do you think of
Yeah.
that?
Fun. It's a
Fun.
fun movie.
Fun like this game fun?
It's more fun than the game.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But if you got a group that likes to play the party games, or if you have kids who are old enough to play
Yeah.
a game that has meeples where it's a choking hazard and you're not that worried about it, I recommend this game. I think you would have a good time. If you play with a bunch of serious gamers who take gaming far more serious than a party game will allow, probably will never get to the table.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. And it's like a $60 game, so
It is. It is.
it's an investment.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of looking at. And Amazon's got it for $60. eBay's got listings at $75. Probably because they say Rampage on it. So they think they're collector's
if it's
items.
$60 at Amazon, it's probably $80 at your local gaming store.
Yep. So it's definitely got a price tag to it, but it looks like a fun game. So I have to see if I can't keep an eye on this, add it to my wish list on Amazon. That's something I've started doing now, because just over the weekend I got a notification on my Amazon app on my phone that which was it? Forbidden Island was on sale 50% off. So I picked up Forbidden Island. It will be here tomorrow for $10.
Nice, that's a good game.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that'll be a fun one to play with the kids. Nice and quick, and a little cooperative game that my kids really seem to like the cooperative games. So they like the idea of not screwing each other over. Nobody likes losing. Let's put it that way. Nobody likes losing.
Gotcha.
So cooperative games work really well because if we lose, we all lose. So.
Right, then we can just blame Dad and move on.
It's always my fault anyway. So yeah, so for those of you that want to try to get some of these games that we've mentioned in this episode and previous episodes, if you add them to your wish list or add them to a wish list on Amazon, you can get notifications when they go on sale, and you might be able to get a steal of a deal. So
nice.
there you go.
Another public service announcement.
That's right. Shop Amazon. They are not giving us a kickback, even though they should.
I think if I didn't order anything from them in like a month, they'd probably send the National Guard to my house to make sure I was okay.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's what we've got for you guys today, people. We've got a board game called Terror in Meeple City or Rampage, depending on how which issue or version you got. We've got a couple comic books: I Kill Giants by Joe Kelly from Image Comics, and Lock and Key by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez at IDW. So go check that stuff out. Let us know what your thoughts are. You can always email us at geekvice@gmail.com. Let us know what your thoughts are, what you think about this game, these comic books, or if there's anything else you think we should be checking out. Let us know, and we'll check it out on a future episode. You got anything else you want to throw out there, Kip?
Have you seen the Venom trailer?
Oh, that's right. Yes, and it's on our Facebook page. That looks cool.
I love that trailer. Yeah.
And I love the fact that they used "we" so much in that trailer.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
We can do whatever we want. Like, oh man, yes.
The second time I watched it, I realized even Tom Hardy said "we."
Yep.
In the fight scene in his apartment when he hits that one guy, he's like, why would we do that? It's like, he said "we." That's awesome.
Yes. Oh, it is so good. The only thing that pissed me off is like symbiotes. It's symbiotes. Like, no, it's just a symbiote. Like, it's the it's not a long I. It's symbiote. Like, not symbiote. Like, that just sounds weird. But whatever. They probably had to do it for some, I don't know, some legal reason.
I think they just did it to make you mad.
It's possible. And it could just be that it was only in this trailer and then they'll cut that part out and redub it so it doesn't sound stupid. I wouldn't be surprised if that would happen. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then, did you see the final Deadpool 2 trailer?
Oh, heck yes.
Oh, that looked good too, man.
Yeah.
Man, this month coming up, because we're still in April right now, May looks stoked with movies. Like, I feel like I'm just gonna have to I'm gonna need to take out a loan just to go see these movies. And it was kind of funny. So over the weekend, my kids stayed over at my parents' house, so my wife and I could go celebrate her birthday with adults. And we were the next morning we were sitting at a bar here in town eating breakfast. And yes, because that's what we do in our little town. We go to a bar to eat breakfast. And the Deadpool 2 trailer came on, and she's like, "Oh, when's that movie come out?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Let's see at the end of the trailer." And then it didn't have it at the end of the trailer because it was
May 18th.
Yeah, it was the not rated trailer. And I'm like, "Oh," so I pulled it on my phone. "Oh, May 18th." She's like, "Huh. Maybe we should see if your parents can watch the kids that weekend." Like, yes, I'll go see that. Sure. Now my wife wants to go see Deadpool 2. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I want to see that. I want to see Infinity War, which that's coming out here. What's that, next weekend?
This weekend.
This weekend. That's right. It is this weekend. Whew, man. And then then Venom is also here soon. October. What? There is something else in May.
Han Solo.
Han Solo is in May. Like, good lord. So yeah, this summer's gonna be filled with movies.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and future episode of Geekvice, we're also gonna talk about some Netflix stuff that I'm watching. Like I'm watching Bright. We started it and then the kids came home and so we had to turn it off because that is definitely not a movie for kids to watch. On Netflix, we're watching Voltron. We're almost done with the entire series so far. And then I need to watch Lost in Space so we can talk about that as well. So
yeah, there's lots to do.
There is so much stuff to watch on TV. So much stuff to watch on Netflix. So, and I'm still trying to read comic books and play video games. Guys, I'm running out of time. So if somebody wants to donate a bunch of money so that I can quit my job and just do all this stuff full time, I would love to. So if you want to do that, let us know. And you can contact us either on Twitter, Facebook, Gmail, whatever's. So, yeah. So there you go.
We don't care how you contact us. Just contact us.
Just send us some money. Let's do this. Let's do this the right way. All right, guys. That's where we're going to end this thing. Check out our blog at geekvice.blogspot.com. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/geekvice. You can follow that guy on Twitter at Kip Killigan. You can follow me at Geekvice. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And this one works because I checked it before the show. It's www.tinyurl.com/geekvice. Make sure you put the W's in front, because if you just do tinyurl.com/geekvice, it will not take you to the YouTube page. But Chrome will search and find us on Facebook. Go figure that one out.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So, and of course, as always, you can reach us at email at geekvice@gmail.com. Thanks, everyone, for listening to our ramblings, and we will see you next time.
Later.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.